Ooh, look at this. This is a real classic in so many respects. It's the North American B... Hang on. Is this the first American thing? Can't be. You mean I've done a Japanese submersible before I've done an American thing? Anything. Anyway, look at that cover. Look at the colours. Absolutely extraordinary. Got it second hand quite a while ago. $10.99. I wonder what they go for now. Anyway, let's get it open, have a look, start building. Oh, go on then, a quick scan of the parts. Couple of good fellas there, upside down. Have I got everything upside down in this? Nice big wings in several sections, interestingly, and a couple of good figures. In fact, this is worth turning round, isn't it? He is good. Let's get him on a dark patch. There we go. Was he specially designed for this model? Anyway, look at that, a good sized Airfix kit. Size, proportions and numbers of parts. This is classic. This is the kind of thing I used to get on a Saturday afternoon, come home late Saturday afternoon and get stuck into Saturday night and into the Sunday when I was about 9 or 10. Yeah, that was a long time ago, never mind. Some parts are done. Mainly these are bits that I could do while other things were happening. They're not too fiddly, so progress is slowly and erratically being made. It's worth, don't know how well that's showing up, it's worth having a look. I've found a nice paint for the engines, which is a good kind of gunmetal. I'll find the bottle in a minute. It's a metallic silver paint. The silver floats to the top if you don't shake it up. So I kind of dipped the brush into that and painted something else very silver. Can't remember what it was. And I was left with this kind of awful mix at the bottom, which comes out as a really nice gunmetal kind of finish. So that's what I've done. I'll go off, I'll find the bottle and I'll show you. There it is, extreme metal. It's very liquid, very thin. I think it's used for airbrushing, and it definitely separates, which is really handy. I won't bother opening it. Oh, go on, I will. I'll have to use two hands. It would seem I've used quite a lot of it actually. So it's mostly a kind of yucky black. Well, that wasn't really worth the bother, was it? Never mind. Also, the Airfix instructions don't give you any information on the colour of the interior, because it's an old one. It gives you basic pilot colours and not much else. So I looked up on the internet and on some forum, B25 interior colour, please help page by, I think it's a British modeller or something. Let's have a look. Brit modeller. The information is Bombardier. Hang on, I've made a mess of the page. Flight deck, bronze green. Wow, that's a kind of bronze green. That's how bronze goes if it's allowed to go green. Bombardier's compartment, navigator's compartment, radio compartment and tail compartment, yellow green. There you go. So I'll be doing that over this greeny undercoat, greeny grey, and then I'll be coming up with the yellow green for elsewhere. all in all a very interesting colour scheme. I've looked at colours as well on the internet, and they're about as near as I can get. And the colours I mentioned at first actually come from a bloke who works on Mitchels, which, you know, well done him. So who am I to argue, basically? Therefore, this seems to be how it goes. So I'll have to start putting all the bits in there. Oh, I've got to do some black, haven't I? Oops. It's worth pausing at this point to look at how the fuselage is attached to the sprue, because I had a problem with the Handley Page Hampden, which, despite using a good knife, kind of fractured and left a hole in one side of the top of the fuselage. And we've got very similar here. Look at the size of these. Even with the finest knife in the world, you're never going to get surface detail. So I have actually cut those off with a good knife, if not the finest knife in the world. Oops. And that's the kind of thing that you're left with, sadly. That's what happens with the older models, isn't it? They're of a certain generation. So we'll just tidy that up a bit, and it's not as bad as the Hampden, is it, by a long way? Look what I've just found. Look what I've just found in the kind of leftovers pot. Bronze green, and it's a lot darker than what I've put in. Oh well. So that's the interior. Slightly wrong colours, but I did put the two halves of the fuselage together, and actually you can hardly see anything. So it will be okay then. Got to put the little men in, and then the glassware, and then the two sides can go together. What nose am I going to have? I don't remember if I said. So I'll keep it, you know, keep it secret until later. Just for excitement purposes. So off I go. Well, I was going to show the fuselage, just, you know, the two sides together and everybody with their head sticking out, but I forgot when I stuck the wings on. Or at least they're in the middle of being stuck on. This wing goes on perfectly, and in fact no glue has been used at this point, but this wing didn't. It's very loose, and I've tried all kinds of things to balance everything up and get everything even, and in the end this was the only option, or the best option, because using a variety of I don't know what they are, little booklet things, obviously I can go sheet of paper by sheet of paper to prop the thing up, so it's pretty accurately balanced. Let's just hope it stays that way then, eh? Tail on now. So there's not a great deal more to do. And this is it coming together. I've just noticed two dreadful mistakes. I know how one happened, I don't know how the other happened. I've put that in the wrong way up, and the same on the other side with the gun port at the top, not at the bottom. How's the machine gunner, the operator, going to see out to shoot? And not so easy to explain, and thankfully not so easy to see. Put that the wrong way round. We'll leave that. I don't know how I did it. Thank you and good night. By the way, nothing on the underside fitted at all. I know really I'm supposed to have the wheel bay doors open, so I don't expect miracles on the underside, and I know I'm going to have to put a lot of filler in, but look, there's even holes where the mould has failed, or where the injection of the plastic has failed. So that should come over. Here's the other side, but then look at that. I've put filler in here and there. I haven't cleaned it up properly. I just dropped a bit of spray on to see, just give an indicator of how things are going. So really the underside's a disaster. Things like the little, where's my little pointer? Things like the door there and the front wheel things took a lot of trimming to get in. So all of that's too big. But it's not just where I've been mucking about. The seam down there is tough, same on the other side. And the wings took a lot of work too. Let's get some light on that. The wings took a lot of work. Although one fitted neatly, the other didn't fit at all. So they're the leftover of getting it tight and flush on the top side, where things are more likely to be seen. This is an old model, so it's suffering from being a primitive mould, and it's also suffering from being a mould that's worn out. Still an enjoyable model though, and still a great aircraft. I have put filler in along the top seam, along here, and it's not too bad now, but it does actually, probably needs another little bit and then a bit of a respray. That's alright. Just now and again I feel it's worth getting the thing almost to completion to see if problems resolve themselves as they go along, but these aren't. So that's that. Big gap there, which is a shame, but it's coming along, and as I say, still enjoying it. This is model making, brilliant stuff. We're at the point now where I can say all the parts are on, and all the markings and all the things that need painting are painted. Sadly it's a messy model, and it probably always was because it's quite early. So fair enough. And I think, you know, that's that. That really is fair enough. It's always a bit, I always feel a bit melancholy when you have one of these old models. It's not just a question of it showing its age. It's, you know, it looks tired and worn and of a different era. Alternatively, that's part of the fun, isn't it? That's what old-fashioned traditional model making is all about. It's interesting, this is why I started this project, to see what you get when you don't use tons of filler and, well, not tons, that's an exaggeration, what you get when you don't go to town on a model, when you just get the model and you just put it together. And this is it. It's creaky, it's old, but there's a romance about it. Therefore, I have really enjoyed making it. This is what it's about for me. This is what I lost touch with in my teens, when I went over the top on everything, and started converting them and customizing and all of that. And that's what I'm fighting against. Unfortunately, I know I'm not going to be able to resist that forever, all the time. So watch out for more. Here's the thing, I'm just putting the film together, and I noticed George Clooney's done a TV version of Catch-22. First of all, that's all in Italy, isn't it? And the other thing is, were they not flying these? I've been really busy. I've recorded this series, so I can't remember. And the film was brilliant, but I can't remember what they flew. I'm sure they were these. No link up with the series intended. Just happens that way sometimes. And at the end of all this, there are some spare bits. And as a kid, I did this, and I've done it again. I've made a little space pod out of the alternative, or the alternate noses, nose cones. So there it is, with a laser blaster thing at the front. A little fella, one of the dreadful Lindbergh Germans from the Kubel Schwimmwagen and Kettenkrad thing. He's in there painted white with a silver visor on his space helmet, and a few leftover transfers from other models, including what can we call them? Victory markings. So he's obviously shot down a couple of serious spaceships. And there he is in full flight. Obviously if I were to take this seriously, I'd make him a bit better, but I just threw it together. I suppose if I had a moment it would clean up quite nicely actually. Yeah, absolutely pointless but fun.